welcome to Reclaiming America. It's good to be back. My partner Dan is here with me, and we haven't been around because I've been doing things which probably I shouldn't have done, but I did anyway. And this week, Greta's off because she's got some things that she needs to deal with, but hopefully she'll be back with us soon. But eventually, the three of us, the dynamic trio, will
It'll
be back
come back.
together again.
Yes, it will. So how you been, my friend? I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a long trip through Europe. It was terrible.
Well, I took a nice trip to Western North Carolina last week. Absolutely beautiful there.
What'd you see? Anything particular?
Well, we went to Hickory and then Asheville, which was a trip, to say the least. And then Chimney Rock, which was awesome. But Asheville's a one and done, man. A beautiful city, but it really wasn't anything special to me. Not to knock it. Hickory I enjoyed, but Chimney
Oh, you
Rock,
could have went to Dickory
debacle.
Dock too.
Yeah, well, I was looking for a place called Dock because that's what I wanted to do. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I figured you did. But
so
yeah, we got some business to do
we
here.
got so much to talk about. It's been what, about a month since we've been on.
It's been 3 weeks anyway, at least.
Although I have a feeling we're going to do most of the show on just the events of this week alone.
Yeah, and matter of fact, the events of Tuesday and since from Tuesday is probably going to eat up
Holy
the Lions
crap!
part of the show.
Pun
If
in.
you haven't
Wait,
heard,
wait.
this is great.
Lions part of the show. There, pun intended. I'm pointing to the lion
Oh,
behind me.
yeah,
Uh,
he's got his eye on the ball as much as the Republicans do.
yeah, go ahead. I'll let you start, and then I'm chomping at the bit here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't see the debate, there was a debate Tuesday between the Queen of Clownville and
Yeah.
the and our fearless leader from the Republican side of the House, President Trump, who I will tell you, after watching it, and I was over in Europe, so the show went on at 2 in the morning there.
Oh, okay.
However, the best part of it was since we slept at that, they did a replay on Fox at 6 in the morning, so I got a chance to watch the whole thing, whether I wanted to or not, because I was married to she who wanted to see it.
Yeah, I did not watch it live because it was too late for me, but I did watch the replay the next morning in full. Um, and I was just shaking my head the whole time.
Well, I think that Trump did not, I don't care what people say. In my opinion, he did not do well. And I'm a Trump supporter.
I thought he did okay. Like
That's no way.
if I'm gonna give it a letter grade, C plus, B minus, somewhere in there, okay. He had a ch-
Yeah, I guess.
he had a chance to go for, pun intended, by the way, a kill shot. Not that we advocate violence. And he missed it more than once. And I think he got a little flustered, and I understand why. But anyone else that got flustered, not that they would have got a pass, but it wouldn't have been that big a deal. For him to get flustered the way he did, of course, that becomes the whole story. So, and that was their goal.
Well, they set out to prod him, and they said it up front. They were going to see if they could make him lose his cool, and they did.
But to
You
be
know,
fair, if I'm being fair though, Bill, he did lose his cool. I'm not saying he didn't, but it could have been a lot worse than it was. You
oh, I
know,
agree.
you
But
know.
what he did do was he allowed them to, Charlotte in particular, to stick something in front of him so that he really didn't answer the question he was given half the
Yeah,
time. He was busy responding to that stupid statement that
exactly.
she put out,
Yeah.
which but hit all his buttons.
They were their goal, and when I say they, in this case, I'm talking about the moderators, not Harris or the Democratic Party, although six of one, half dozen of another, of course. But
Though you forced to repeat yourself.
yeah, the moderator's goal was to get him off his quote unquote script, right? And I think they, to give them credit, I don't know if that's the way I want to put it, but they did a marvelous job of doing that. Horrible that they did, right? But that was their goal, and they achieved it and then some. And as I was watching it back, like I said, I was watching a replay, and I was able to pause it a couple times because I was just shaking my head at all of it. Um, I am leaning towards Trump. Obviously, I think anybody who watches the show knows that of those two, because my boy that I was really leaning towards voting for got out, Mr. Kennedy. Um,
Who has become a Trump
who
supporter.
has become a Trump supporter. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a little bit. But, as I'm pausing it and just because one of the things I like about being able to watch a replay is if you hear something, you can kind of pause it for a second, kind of digest it. Whereas if you're watching it live, they just keep going on. But, um, Harris clearly was sticking to her script. And obviously, I think she did have the questions. And there's a lot of talk about that, and we'll get into all the theories that are going on. Um, she did okay. I hate to say it this way, but I want to give her credit in a manner of speaking that she didn't get, like a lamb to slaughter, which is what I think we both thought was going to happen. At
Yeah,
least,
well, but for her, the bar was so low.
yeah, true,
Not getting into trouble was a success.
true. That said, I don't think she won the debate. I don't, actually don't think either one did. I think it was a whole bunch of nothing. It was a nothing burger as far as this election goes. I don't think.
But did you see the Times and Reuters? Uh, they had decided voters that they brought in.
Yeah.
And what was interesting in both, and they were different groups. In both groups, uh, 6 out of 10 people who were undecided going into the debate either said they were going to be Trump supporters or they're now leaning Trump, where only 3 went to Kamala. And that was in the Times and Reuters, and you can't exactly call the Times pro-Trump.
No, you can't. And I've seen other things like out on Twitter and other places, other type of polls like that. And I think in general, it did strike a chord with the independents. I don't think so much that it was anything Trump did to win them over. I think it's more a case of people who are independent or center, right, left, center, whatever, see what's going on. And anyone who has a reasonable mind, any kind of openness in their mind, could not watch that and realize that this was a scripted telenovel, for lack of anything else. It was blatantly obvious what was going on. And I think that, more than anything, is what's turning the independent voters off. I don't think policy wise anything changed with that.
Well, I agree, but I think he did get in between his defense, whether he needed to defend or not, he did get policy positions out there.
He was getting them out, but again, he was kept getting derailed off of it too. But he did hit some really good shots on her. But again, as someone who kind of can take a step back, look at it objectively, I think what's really the defining thing that is going to come out of that debate is they see what the Democratic Party, and more importantly, the media is doing. And it's turning people off in the middle. They want to hear facts. They don't want to hear what, David Muir's opinion is, which is what his fact checks were his opinion. That kind of stuff. And I think that was so blatant and so obvious. It's going to turn
So one-sided.
completely one-sided. Doesn't even cover it, Bill. All right, I've watched a lot of debates in my time. That was one of the worst I've ever seen, as far as the utter bias that was so evident. And that's what turns off the middle. It's going to play. The left loves it. The right gets pissed off. Well, okay.
Those are givens, though.
They're going to vote their way. They're going to vote anyway. It is the middle that matters. And I think anyone who is, not beholden to one party looks at that and goes, okay, this is wrong. And there's a problem here. And okay, if I have to vote for someone, am I going to vote for a candidate that clearly is backed by a media that just spews whatever? It was that bad.
You know, I agree with you across the line, and that's not as much fun as when we disagree. But
Yeah, it's more fun to disagree, but as someone, again, I at this point I'm voting for Trump. Not, I would never vote for Harris. I will say that point blank. Kennedy being in the race was something, he had my attention. I don't agree with
he
everything.
was almost the Purdue of the '90s.
Yeah, he was, for lack of a better term, he was like a Tip O'Neill, maybe even a Clinton level Democrat at that point, right? I didn't agree with everything he put out there. There's a lot of stuff I didn't like about what he was saying. But as we've talked about before, 80% of what he was saying, I liked. Well, let's get out of wars. Let's focus on the country. Blah 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 blah. Let's stop funding Ukraine. I'm on board with all that stuff. And for him to get out, I actually sad he got out. because I think it would have given someone like myself an alternative. Was he going to win? No. Zero chance. Could he have gotten noticed? Could he have gotten 10, 15% of the vote? It, reasonable shot. Reasonable shot.
I believe they were giving him 7, but it could have grown.
I think he could have got a bit more if he had stayed in the race. If he had been allowed to debate, by the way, which, you know,
And now I'm going to ask you a question, which I know is going to hit your little button.
okay.
One of the criticisms that has come out of Trump's performance was the fact that he was prepared by Tulsi Gabbard, and who supposedly came in to train him because she made mincemeat out of Harris when she first ran in 2016. Yet, so do we hold her responsible for his lackluster performance?
I'm gonna say maybe, and the reason I'm saying that, Bill, is we don't know what their conversations were really, right? We both know that Trump has an ego, and he will listen, but that doesn't mean he's going to implement what she
Oh, that's
said,
absolutely true.
right?
He's going
So
to do what Trump's going to do.
I don't know if you saw her interview. ABC News interviewed her afterward, right on the debate. You know, they were on the stage, or their little thing around the stage where they interview people, and she was just magnificent. She just destroyed Harris, and I was sitting there at that time watching that, going, "Where was Trump saying this stuff?" Right? He didn't really. Again, I think they got him so on tilt that he lost his script, right? Whereas Harris stuck to hers like glue. I think, had I would like to know what Tulsi and him actually worked on, and we'll never know that. But I have a feeling that much of that bill was probably more for appearance than actually training him. He
I would think it's the opposite. I would think she would be there to prepare him to deal with her. Because, I mean, she effectively destroyed the woman.
She did destroy her, but the other side of it is, does Trump need help doing that if he stays to script? No, I don't think so.
Well, the opposite. Now, in your sentence was an little sub-paragraph. If he stays on
If he
script.
stays on script. The thing that I think where she probably had let him down, I don't like using these terms, but I'm trying to grab something, is that she didn't, if she was the one that was the main one preparing him, they should have all known that this was coming. Trump should have known it, right? Um, well in advance. It's that obvious that they're going to try and get him to just go off
They were
script.
saying for days that the goal was to get him off his game and to see if
Exactly.
they could nudge him.
So did Tulsi not do the right thing by properly preparing him for that? I think that's a fair criticism. If they even went there, who knows? We'll never know. Um, Again, though, it goes back to, this is why I think she should have been the VP candidate, because Vance, Vance is Pence light. I'm sorry. I'm seeing this play out. Vance is Pence light, and I have nothing against Pence as a person. I think he's a great guy. Milk toast VP, which is what Trump wants. Vance is no different to me. Whereas Tulsi's a bulldog. If she were on the ticket right now, because you see what she's doing when she's not on the ticket. Oh God, if she's on the ticket, oh, God help Walls, Harris, all of them. But it's just going back to the debate. This was a missed opportunity for the Trump campaign. It lets her stay in the race. People are saying she lost. I don't agree with that. I think it's this one in my book is much to do about nothing. Nothing changed on this one.
I think with what you said earlier, and I agree with you, though, it did change. Some of the independents did make up their minds.
But not based on Trump or Harris, based on ABC News.
And that's very true.
You know,
And I think that that's valid. But the bottom line is that they're now voting a certain way. And if numbers are to be perceived correctly, it went 2-1 to Trump.
again, you know how we both feel about polls, and the polling that's out there is really suspect at this point. But they're basically saying Trump's ahead 1 or 2 points, which means in reality he's up 5 or 6.
Right.
Um,
Now, today, all of a sudden, North Carolina and Georgia have become toss-up states.
They've been saying North Carolina has for a month now, and I'm like, who are they talking to? Well, I'll tell you who they're talking to because I was there last week. Asheville, right? Which is as left wing woke a city as I've ever been in my life, and I've been to all of them: New York, San Francisco, all of them. I was walking around just cracking up, to be honest with you. That must be who they're polling. Is there, and of course, Charlotte and Raleigh areas, right? The rest of the state is blood red, pretty much. There's certain little areas like where I am, but I don't think North Carolina's in play at all.
And I agree with you. I think this is just a matter of how big the win.
Well, Harris was in, was it Charlotte yesterday or the day before?
Yeah.
They had to bus people in.
Yeah.
They have video of the people coming off the buses to go watch her. If you have to bus people in a city the size of Charlotte, you got a problem, my friend.
And then part two to that, I don't know whether they let it out or not, but they were paid people too.
Yes, they were. So to say that North Carolina's in play, who knows, right? I would be shocked if Trump doesn't win it by 5 points. Shocked.
And I think we could agree on that one. I think it's going to be a good day for the Republicans in this state. Now, how the other states fall to be determined.
Yeah, I can't speak to Georgia. I do have a couple friends that live in Georgia. They're very pro-Trump, but they've been all along. Nothing's going to change for them. Having talked, my one friend is Bill also. He thinks Trump's going to win Georgia easily, and I'm like, well, based on what? Well, that's my feeling. Feelings are nice, but they're not facts. He hates when I say that to him because he loves that phrase. But I think Georgia, realistically, Trump's got a chance to win it. Pennsylvania now, I don't see how Trump loses Pennsylvania after the
Well,
last.
he all he has to do is keep talking fracking and put her statements up there. That's all he needs to do,
Yeah. Um,
and make it and have a legitimate count in Philadelphia.
who knows what's going to happen there? But even that, like again, I watch a lot of stuff in social media, which, think of it what you will, but they're out interviewing real people, not what the news networks do, which is interview 100 and then pick the two that are going to be the slant of the story the way they want it to run to put on TV. And some of these other ones, they're polling everyone and they're showing all the sides of it. There's a lot of people in Philadelphia that were not happy the way Harris was in that debate. Snooty. I remember the one where she seemed so snooty, and I was like, that. See, that to me, that's a real, genuine emotion because that's not a term most people would use. Snarky, snooty, that type of stuff.
Well, those are not indifferent to the words that they a lot different from the words they used with Nixon in that first debate, where he seemed uppity and snooty,
Yeah,
and
I
substance wasn't an issue. Because again, in that debate, if you listen to the radio, Nixon won. If you watched it, Kennedy won.
yeah, and we're at a point now where appearances are everything, right? If you watched her, and I actually watched a video on YouTube where they had a body language expert, which take it for what it's worth, right? Basically just eviscerating her. Clearly she thinks she's better than everyone, blah, blah, blah. It was biased without question. But, if you're, as I was watching it, and I have to say, she did better than I thought she was going to do. But it was obvious that every once in a while Trump got his zinger in and you'd see her just type of thing. And that
Yeah, but there's also a couple of times you could see her launch it, and that Cheshire smile went over her
oh, yeah.
face.
She silently that cackle she has. It's again, I don't think much is going to change because of this debate as far as the candidates go. Now let's get into the media a little bit because this is going to be a game changer. I think.
Do we have time for that, or
We got a few minutes, and then so we can start it, and then we'll pause.
did ABC shoot themselves in the foot with an 8-inch cannon?
16-inch.
16-inch.
The battleship North Carolina couldn't fire a shell that big. Okay, it was. I think this was the game-changing moment in the long run, where people see the media for what it is, because it was so blatant. And the sad part is, I had a lot of respect for David Muir prior to this. Of the
I
three
agree with you.
of the three networks, I don't watch a lot of the evening news, but of the three that I have no respect for Lester Holt. The chick on CBS, I can't remember her name. Sorry, no respect for her. Muir at least came across as, I'll turn a person into a verb, Cronkite-ish to me, right?
Professional.
Professional, a journalist, a true journalist. Well,
You took care of that.
much like the Wizard of Oz, the curtain got pulled back on him big time. And it'll be interesting to me to see what happens backlash wise. And it's starting to roll. There's a lot of innuendo out there that, the other moderator, again, I forget her name, supposedly is a sorority sister of Harris's. If that's true, and I've seen no one dispute it since it's been out there. Come on, you think she didn't give her the questions or tip her off at least? Give me a break, right?
Well, there's also another interesting little thing that came out today about possibility of questions. And they are talking about the fact that supposedly they have a behind the scenes whistleblower
Mm-hmm.
who's going to be signing a document to come forward and tell people how she got the questions.
And I've read a lot about that. It actually came out yesterday. It was all over. I'll call it Twitter, X Twitter, all over the place. And again, I look at that stuff with a little bit of a grain of salt. All right, if there's a whistleblower, why aren't they saying who it is, right? Okay, I know he's worried, or he or she is worried about getting Epsteined, right? Turn a person into a verb again. Um, but this is so important. If this person does legitimately have this information, I think credibility wise, they need to come out. This anonymous source doesn't hold enough credibility with me. I'm
Yeah,
not.
it was interesting enough. They were talking about the fact that they were waiting for a non-disclosure agreement to be signed.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. When I see that, it really calls into question for me whether this is true or not. And the thing is, if it is true, the last thing you want is anybody to be able to call into question on it. If you have direct evidence, give it to us and come out and say so.
And let us decide if it's real or not.
Then, right. As opposed to, well, I have this anonymous source. Okay, well, ABC News had an anonymous source that said, because they never named the person, well, we checked with a councilman who said that they're not, eating pets in Ohio. Um, who was the person? Why isn't that person being named? If you say you checked with him, which, by the way, in the middle of a debate, you were able to reach this person and ask them, how would you know to do that fast? If you didn't know what was coming. All right. Um,
And who you called.
and knowing who to call, being able to reach them, get a direct quote from, come on. I mean, really.
And back in 90 seconds.
Yeah, really. Speaking of which, guess what? It is time for us to take a break. So, throw it to break.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. We have more to discuss with the debate and whether there's even going to be another one. So, Reclaiming America, hang in there. Welcome back to Reclaiming America. Dan and I are discussing the debate. We're still wishing Greta well and hoping she's back with us next week with everything under control. And will the three of us can then rise to the occasion as we always do. But anyway, next question, which is, we started discussing this, how bad an action how bad did the ABC News people do, and how's it going to affect the rest of the operation and other stations?
Well, an interesting point needs to be made on this, Bill, which is who owns ABC News?
Disney.
Disney. Who is as far left woke a company as there is on the planet?
Rhymes with Disney.
Disney. ESPN is part of that.
Disney.
Disney, right? Disney. I think their credibility's gone. Absolutely gone. I think they've shown themselves to be further left than MSNBC. When even CNN criticizes you, this is what's blowing my mind. CNN is all over them. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, and one of the major players, and his name is escaping me right now, for the Clinton administration, was a major writer,
Oh, yeah.
had a major piece out there how bad this was and how it affects democracy, and it's a travesty that cannot go unpunished.
And I think that, the name escapes me too, but I think that person being a Democrat
Right.
sees it for what it is, which is what we started talking about. This is a game changer because now the media, the mainstream media, has lost their credibility. Not that they had
Well,
much to begin with.
well, look, you had Dershowitz come over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's kind of swung over, and you're getting more and more mainstream people, mainstream Democrat or center left Democrats saying, "All right, this is just the bridge too far."
When
You
I,
got to pull it back.
but they've leapt off that bridge, Bill. There's no coming
Yeah,
back.
but what they're hoping for, and my guess is they need a massive defeat at the hands of Trump and everybody. And when that happens, the party needs to be rebuilt. And that could be 2 to 6 years, depending on what they choose to do with it. But they need a massive defeat. Now, the problem is the Republicans.
Yeah. Well,
Because
I said this 2 months ago. The reason they put Harris up was because they want that defeat so they can go back to the wokesters and go, "We tried it your way. We got creamed." But now the Republicans, as they are so masterful at doing, are snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, presidential level, all the way down.
and that's scary because this should be an easy ride, and nothing's an easy ride, but per se, this should be a walk in the park for Trump and with his coattails up and down the line.
Absolutely, it should be. All he's got to do, and to give them credit, they're running these commercials. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? He brought it up in the debate. Good stuff there. But they're getting so sidetracked on some of this other stuff, and they're playing the Democrats' game.
Yeah, but maybe there is hope because I will tell you this. I've been watching Lieutenant Governor Robinson, who has not had an illustrious start in this run compared to.
Oh, he's
I'm being nice now.
I'm not going to be nice. He's blowing it. Sorry.
However, he's turned his whole operation around. He's doing two things. He is traveling the country. He's traveling the state, and what he's doing, he's picking small venues instead of doing these 1,000 things like he was initially doing. Now he goes into a business. And, I'm not going to say it's not arranged. It's a Republican business, and they get all Republicans in there. But he is talking issues with them. He's talking issues that fit the business he's with. And he's actually coming across as a knowledgeable person that wants to work and help people. He's not just standing up there and pontificating.
So here's the problem with that, Bill. Until you just told me that, I had no idea. And I pay attention. That's the problem.
What you need to do is sign up for the Brunswick County.
No.
Because it's every one of his speeches there, and you can read them and hear them on your own. They're on YouTube, they are on Facebook, and now they're on Brunswick County GOP.org's.
Shameless plugs there. But you get my
Facebook site.
You get my point, though. The average person is not going to be aware of that. That's something that would be a commercial to start running, is have video of him doing that, right? Talking about, the thing that I'm seeing with Robinson and Republicans in general is they have the win in the issues if they just frickin' stick to them. But they aren't doing that. They're getting down in the mud. I mean, again, we're more than North Carolina, but using the North Carolina governor's race, this is pure mud at this point. Neither one of them talks about policy. All it is, he's got a bad daycare center. He's a woke liberal. I don't give two shits about any of that, okay? What's your freaking policies? I don't know. Now
Well,
I do, but you know what I'm saying?
we're talking in his case when he's in these little businesses, and it could be a restaurant, it could be a manufacturer. He goes there, and I know that what they do is they send out and they say, okay, send us a half a dozen places in your county that would be friendly if we called to come. So they're hand selected to go there. But the point of the matter is, he is talking issues that pertain to that particular business and the people around him, which is what he needs to do. And they're using it effectively on media, on social media, rather than going through mainstream.
Yeah, the mainstream media is done. We just kind of talked about that. Social media is the key at this point. But I remember 4 years ago, you and I went to a local gym to watch the
Yes, we
Republican
did.
candidate, right?
Yes, we
And
did.
he did a magnificent job. Dan did a wonderful job. Nobody knew about it, right? It's the problem the Republican Party has social media wise is they are 40 years behind the Democrats on it. They're getting better. I have to say, they are getting better, but they are still behind the eight ball with it. And
We've
they're
cut it to 38 and a quarter years now.
pretty much, but they're still getting their clocks cleaned, right? If Robinson's doing that, it's not getting to an average person like me. What I'm seeing is the mud ads, Josh Stein, blah blah blah. And again, this
Well,
is
he's
presidential. Also, you've seen the same thing with Trump. Trump wins on every single instance when it comes to issues,
politics.
including, by the way, abortion. Right?
Yeah, I heard that too.
He will if his stance on abortion gets out there, majority of people are going to support him because if you're in favor of abortion, Trump is not going to sign. Harris sit there and debate and flat out lied saying he was going to ban abortion. Flat out lied, not fact checked. But Trump needs to sit there and go, I will not sign that. I believe that, and he started to, but it's not out on social media. And anyone, wherever you stand, you could be dead set against it, that's fine. You could be dead for it, fine. My question to anyone who is dead for it is, to what point? I want to know where Harris is, Walz, in our state, Stein, every representative of every level needs to be asked this question. If you support abortion, to what point? Specifically. Not, well, no, I don't want to hear a third trimester. 38 weeks, 42, post birth, whatever. But they never answer that question. And that's where the Republicans are failing. If I'm Trump and I'm on that debate stage and she says you're going to ban abortion, no, I'm not. Here's my position. By the way, Kamala, exactly at what point do you say it's a child and thus abortion should not be allowed? Put her on the spot. Never does it.
No, and they won't. And I'll tell you
And
why.
that's a problem.
It is a problem, but their fear is social issues. They are comfortable doing economic and
Yes, it is.
policy issues,
Yep.
but they've gotten their clocks cleaned on several times on social issues.
But this is a way for,
Handling it well or not, the truth is they got killed on it.
they get killed on it because they're not afraid to get in the mud, so to speak, and put them on the spot. If you ask any one of those candidates, whether it's Walz, Harris, Stein in our state, any senatorial, at what point? I want you to give me a number. 12 weeks, 15, 22, 28, whatever. Give me a number. Because the problem is that for the Democrats, if you do that, is the overwhelming majority of people, including ones that support abortion, do not support late second and third term abortions. Put them on the spot. Make them put a number to it. Hold their feet to the fire. That's what the Republicans need to do, and they won't.
And unfortunately, I agree with you. And then it's thinking no fun again. I have to agree with you.
I mean, North Carolina is 12 weeks right now, if I remember right.
Correct.
All right. Some states are 15. I don't have a problem with that, honestly.
We even heard Trump come out and criticize Florida with 6.
I think 6 is too little.
That's exactly what he said. It's
I
you may not know you're pregnant. You may just be a late period.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that now. I've been saying that all along. I think 15 is a good number to me. If you want to argue 12, I'll go along with it. I'm not going to die on that hill. 12, 15. You're talking 3 to 4 months at that point.
You're talking the full first
You
trimester.
know you're pregnant. You've had an opportunity to make your decision, right? And by the way, I'm not talking about, risk of the mother or any of that stuff either. I'm talking about what is the majority of abortions, which is well over 90%, are just cause, as I like to put it.
It's another birth
It's a
control.
birth control method. Okay, if you can't decide in 90 days or 120, you're going to wait till it's 38 weeks coming down the birth canal? That's when you're going to decide? No, sorry.
Or, as the governor of Virginia said, put it on the table, go have a meeting with mom, and decide
That
if you're
was
going to
yeah,
make it
West.
viable.
I
Or
think
not.
that was West Virginia.
No, I think that was not the
I'm
current.
not sure on it, but I know there's video out there
It's
of him
not the
saying that.
current governor, but I think a former
Yeah,
governor of Virginia.
yeah. But I mean, again, put them. Like there was this argument. No state has it up until then. Yes, they do. New York does. California does. You can terminate in the birth canal. I mean, but yet that wasn't fact checked. We're getting back to the debate. It's all coming out. Well, you said this. ABC News said you're wrong. Oh, by the way, ABC News, here's your graphic from a few weeks ago that shows that you're wrong. It's like you can't make this shit up, Bill, right?
No, you can't. But again, it didn't fit today's narrative.
Well, it's because they know that there's a big part of the population out there that just watches sound bites. So the ABC News was putting in sound bites that they know even when they get proven wrong, no one's ever going to question it. And the Harris campaign is run with it. It's actually brilliant. It's sick. It's wrong, but it's brilliant.
Well, that's one way of putting it. I don't think I
Te-
go with brilliant.
Tell a lie often enough, it becomes the truth.
Yeah, well, I agree to that, unfortunately.
You know.
However, we are reaching a point where people have had enough of all of it.
Oh, I think so too.
And I think what I would almost do, I almost wish we had the money to start a real news show.
Give me
And
some
just,
more years.
we're not going to slant the facts. We're just going to simply, here's what happened, you decide.
It's funny because I was talking with someone about just that not too long ago, and they said, "Well, what if you had a radio show or a TV show? What would you do?" And I said, "I would invite them all on. I would have Harris on, and I would do things like I just talked about. Give me specifically when you say no more abortion, and if you want to go to 38 weeks, fine. I'm not gonna be happy about it. I'm gonna call you out on it." But I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that. I'm going to put Trump's feet to the fire on various things. That's what needs to be done. My opinion is irrelevant in that situation. When you're moderating a debate, the only thing you should be doing is asking questions, period.
And follow up.
It's on Harris to refute what Trump's saying, or vice versa, by the way, right? It's not on the moderators to do that. So that's what we're missing. Now, by the way, it's always been slanted. We know that. But it's now so blatant. I would love
Yeah,
to see another debate, to be honest with you. I know Trump doesn't want to do it. I'd love to see a debate, and I'll tell you, Joe Rogan, he's as close to being neutral as I can figure out in the media.
yeah, but you know where it's going if they have it.
Oh, it'll be MSNBC,
No,
CNN.
there's a discussion between Fox or MSN or
I
NBC.
don't want Fox doing it either. And I'll tell you
I,
why, Bill, because if it's Fox, then people that are leaning left that are independent are going to go, well, it was Fox. It's no big deal. That's been ingrained in their mind. Fox is propaganda. MSNBC, though, is not. It's ridiculous. Joe Rogan or someone like him is who it needs to be. On a podcast, by the way. Long form. No TV commercials. None of that shit. Right? Somebody like
a
that.
little bit better than that. How about
Lex Freeman would be another good one.
pick one of the groups, pick one of the stations, and put a conservative and a liberal moderator on.
Well, they've talked. That was another thing that was thrown out there. Is Trump gets to pick one, Harris gets to pick one, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it. But I would love to see. And again, I'm going back to Joe Rogan because he's the biggest podcaster in the world. All right, and I'm just using him as an example. But the format I would do is it's him. You got Harris. You got Trump. We're going 5 hours. Not this 90-minute bullshit where you got 3 minutes to talk. We're going to go 5 hours, right? It can have breaks here and there. We're going to go 5 hours, and here's the thing. We're going to time to make sure you have exactly the same amount of time to talk. So if one gets too far ahead, because Trump will bluster, you know that, right? So
Really?
a little bit. But we're gonna ask specific questions on the issues. And here's another thing I would add to it, Bill. We're gonna open up to get questions from the audience, which is very easy to do, right? And you
So
have
who decides which ones
well,
are
that's
fair?
where again you've got to have that person in the middle. They're out there, Bill. They are, and they're gonna go. Okay, we'll ask this question because you'll get the same basically 10 or 15 questions from 40 different people. You know that, right?
Yeah, with just a slight
Yeah.
variation. We can
So,
all be
all right, you,
in
you,
one.
you can come down to throw it into A. Here you go, Bill. I got a solution for that. Throw it into AI. Let AI decide. Because AI is, like it or not, most people don't think it's neutral. It's more neutral than most people are. Um, Go ahead.
Well, I think we need to talk about that.
If you treat it right, it's what you input it. Take this question and make it neutral. It'll do it. I've done it.
Yeah, but take this question, and if you've already affected the programming, neutral can be a lot of things.
Let Elon's people do it because Twitter's pretty neutral at this point. I mean, there's some left wing stuff out there. Woo, baby. No, it's Twitter. I'm never going to call it X. No,
It is what it
but you
is.
get my point, right? At least then, if you go that route, you have some credibility to be what's being said, and the candidates can't run and hide. No scripts. We're going to check you to make sure your earrings aren't wireless because there's that out
No
there.
earplugs. No earplugs.
No ear. Well, did you see the one about Camilla's earrings?
No, I haven't
So
seen that one.
this one I think is ludicrous. I'm just going to say, but there's a conspiracy theory out there that the earrings she was wearing were earbuds, and they've actually gone and found the exact earrings that have things in them. I don't believe it for a second. I could, if I'm proved wrong, I'll admit it, right? I don't believe that one for a second. But
Well, you know, if they were, those earbuds are long gone.
oh, they'll never be found again. But I don't for a second believe that's the case. But this way, you can sit and visually show them being checked. Put it on camera. Visibly, no earrings, no jewelry,
Well,
nothing.
there's a simpler solution than that. You can simply buy a machine that deadens all the messages coming in, and
Exactly.
you turn it on.
Done. That would at least bring some credibility back. Because the issue we have as a country now is no one, and I've said this before, and I know you have too, no one is going to believe the results of this election, no matter who wins. There's going to be doubt
You
one side or the other.
And unfortunately, it's more than doubt. No matter who wins, there's going to be,
There's
unfortunately,
going
and
to
I'm not a big fan of violence,
there's going to be
but I'm
violence.
afraid you're going to see violence.
And on that note, we need to go break number 2. And
Okay,
then we'll come back and talk violence.
stay tuned as we come back and we redden up the discussion. Reclaiming America. And stay tuned. Well, again, we're back for the last phase of our meeting this week in Reclaiming America. We have the last shot, the last portion, and we're going to be discussing several things. But the first thing we'll start out with is in the infinite wisdom my partner has there.
Go
Will
right.
there be another debate?
Will there be another debate? No, I do not think there will be. I don't think either party wants it, to be honest with
She's
you.
called for it.
Oh, okay. Well, she also claims she's going to fix the economy she's been in charge of for the past 4 years, too.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they think they can do it to him again.
I don't think she really wants another debate because I'll tell you, if I'm the Democrats, knowing they got this one, manner of speaking, I don't
They
think,
didn't get crucified.
yeah, Trump will be better prepared next time. That would be a huge mistake on their part, and I think deep down they know it. I don't think Trump will do it because he sees it as a waste of time, and he's not wrong. I think there needs to be one. I think there needs to be at least 2 more.
Oh, I agree.
And I would,
And I'm not talking about the vice presidential one either.
I could care less about the vice presidential one. I got to be honest with you. They're two nobodies to me. They really are. They're VPs. I would like to see what's been done in the past, Bill, where they have debates specific to certain issues, right? Whether it's
Foreign policy day,
yes, like a foreign policy one, a domestic one, that type of thing.
economic day,
That's that's what they did when I was growing up.
Yep, and I agree.
When you were a
And
senior
then all the
citizen.
questions were related to that topic for the hour and a half they were there.
Exactly.
And then they had multiple days to cover multiple topics.
Never gonna
Instead
happen.
of 5 minutes here, 10 minutes over here, and people can prepare and they also get an in-depth look at what's going on. I agree with you 100%.
I mean,
This is terrible.
what are the true big issues that the people want? It's the economy, the border,
And the feeling of safety internationally.
safety, and are we going to be in war? And to a lesser extent, because the Republicans have allowed it, abortion has come into it, right? Um, it's a minor issue to most people, but it's percolated up enough that it needs to be addressed in depth. And that's where I think having two more debates, one, let's call it domestic policy, the other foreign, is, I think, necessary. As we're talking about, it's
Fair would cover the particular wars you're involved in and what you get involved in. Would also cover the alliances we have around the world. And do we still need those alliances, or do we benefit from those alliances? Uh, Russia is not the big king of the world anymore, or is China taking that over? And have we effectively taken on China?
or if
Yeah.
you're going to throw out that the Russians are interfering with the election, all right, let's put Harris on the spot. You and your party are making this claim. Give us your proof. And again, it goes back to, it cannot be ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, or Fox doing this. It needs to be neutral people.
Newsmax.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you didn't
Well,
cover them in your main
there's
grub, so
OAN, there's all, forget all of them. Find neutral people. They're out there. They're, Lex Freeman, we talked about Rogan. There's ones out there. Make it more than an hour and a half, by the way. Don't put a time limit on it. All right, we're going to talk about foreign policy. If it takes us an hour, fine. If it takes us 4, fine. Then the people get educated and informed on where they stand. And if you get somebody good as a moderator and can keep it on point so that, if Trump starts going off, no, Trump, we're not going to do that, right? If you start hurling insults, we're not doing that. Let's have an actual debate. Never going to happen, by the way, right? Because it'll never create the sound bites they want for the commercials. But if we want to save this country, it's a must. Because as we said before we went to break, it doesn't matter who wins. We're headed for violence. I truly believe it.
I absolutely agree. We're going to be torching Seattle if Trump wins.
But Bill, that never happened.
Well, I saw a lot of buildings that were burning when this one guy is saying, "Well, it's been relatively peaceful and quiet
Did
behind
you,
me."
did you see the article the Seattle Times put out?
No,
There was never a time when people created this area that was separate from the United States. So it's all, they put it out in the paper, and then everybody's kicking it back with another article from the Seattle Times talking about Chaz. Remember Chaz?
yep.
Magically, it disappeared all of a sudden. Boy, these news medias are idiots to think that the internet is not forever. But again,
Well, they're not smart enough to figure out that what they said yesterday they can be called accountable today.
nobody's eating pets in Ohio. Oh wait, there's video of them doing it. Come on, That's
Well, they were talking about not only Ohio, but what's going on with the Sandinistas or San what's that
the one
religion?
in Colorado.
No, the one in Florida that's
Oh,
actually
Florida one.
sacrificing animals in parks and nailing up, chickens' feet in blood and cows' tongues nailed to walls. And
Now again, a lot of that is, to me, it's an issue. But can we stick to the main issues, please, instead of
well,
introducing this crap?
unfortunately, that's where we're at. But before we get too far, sir,
Mm-hmm.
I have to bring you back on one of the video replays.
Been waiting.
It seems to me that someone who I know, love, and respect made a statement that he was going to put his entire life on the line, that Biden would be drummed out of office, and and the 25th Amendment would be put in there, and we would have Harris or whoever else as president of the United States. Well, you know what? I don't think that happened. So, what are your thoughts, sir?
Well, I have a question for you.
Sir?
Have you seen Biden in the White House lately?
Yeah,
No, you haven't.
you have a
You've seen
cutout.
him on the beach. You've seen him everywhere else. You haven't seen him at the White House. He's not running anything right now.
He wasn't running
I
anything
mean,
before.
to your point, you're right. They didn't 25th him out. I was wrong on that. But if you think he wasn't before, you're right. But if you think he's doing anything right now, give me a break.
Oh
Ha-
no, but the point of this matter is it has nothing to do with the 25th Amendment. It's strictly that if you get rid of him, Harris is now accountable for the next 2 months and what
but she
happens.
is anyway.
No, she
They're
isn't. They
hammering her
can
with.
be on him.
I'm going to fix things day one. Well, why didn't you fix them for the last 3.5 years?
Yeah, but if she's in charge for 2 months and Israel blows up again or whatever else, she's got no one she can fall behind and say, "Well, Joe was in charge. I'm just a number
Yeah,
two."
I don't think that would work if she tried to pull that one now because nobody believes Biden's the president right now. In name, sure, I'll give you that one. But in actuality, come on, Bill.
Well, come on,
He
give
took
me a
a
day that
he
he was
took a month
in
off.
charge. Give me a day he's been in charge since day two.
You told. I was going to say January 21st, 2020, or 2021, I should say. Um, I mean, again, who is running this damn country right now? And you mentioned Israel. October 7th anniversary is coming up. You think Hamas, Iran, whomever isn't going to have a little something something planned? Give me a break. They'll love it, right? Uh,
Yeah, especially we talk about the October surprise.
Yom Kippur's coming, all that stuff. And who is running the country? I don't. Do I think China's going to move on Taiwan in the next 2 months? No, I don't.
No, no, they're going to wait and see the
I
results.
mean, we would. Well, we may not know if they may be preparing to do that right now. We would see it on the satellites, but they may not tell us. That's the other thing is our government has become so secretive. That's blatantly obvious now. China could be launching, but we wouldn't know until the day it happens. But I
Well,
don't.
we have to
I don't
try to
realistically
buy
think
a
they will.
Chinese balloon and fly it over the country.
Remember that? Yeah, it's still. That was what 2 years ago, and it's still being talked about. But yeah, I mean, getting back, Biden is not running this country even more so than he wasn't before.
Yeah, but the real issue is Jill's not running it now.
Fair point. So who the hell is? I mean, Biden has not been in the White House in over a month.
And I'm going to give you another thought that's tied to that. Why Hunter Biden is suddenly plea dealing and calling guilty.
Oh yeah, we had a chance to
And
talk about that one,
yeah, and there's a reason for it, which is very simple. If he has not pled guilty and sentenced, he can't be pardoned.
right?
And Dad's pardoning days are running out by the 19th of January or earlier.
Right.
So
But
now, if I'm Biden, here's what I do to lessen that blow. Okay, may not be a popular thing. I take my powers and I sign the document and I let my son off and I pardon Trump.
You think he would do that?
To me, it blunts everything.
Well, he can only do it at the federal level. He couldn't do it for New York State because
It would take away Jack Clark's
it
operation.
would take away Georgia, D.C.,
Yeah,
but it
you
doesn't
would
take
still
away
have
New
New
York.
York going on,
Yeah.
but I don't see that one winning anyway, long
You
term.
really think he would do that?
I'm thinking he's gonna. Why would he not? Why would he plead guilty now? Except he
Oh,
needs.
I think he's getting. I think Joe will pardon Hunter for sure. I'm
But
talking
I'm
about
telling you,
Trump.
if I'm trying to deaden the effect or blunt the effect, I'm going to say in order to keep the country from being torn apart. This is very much like the Nixon speech
Mhm.
that Ford did. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to pardon my son. And I'm going to pardon Trump for all actions, and let's move forward with that. And either side can just, I'll take the heat from it, but it's for the good of the country, and end it like that.
So let me ask you this way. I'm going to interject in. If Harris wins the election, does he do it?
He will do it before he leaves office.
I understand that. But if Harris wins, would he pardon Trump?
Yeah,
You think
because
so?
now he's being magnanimous and he's got to worry about the reaction of the right to Trump losing. So this is a bone to them.
Interesting. Now, what about the other way? If Trump wins, does he do it? What's your reasoning there?
If Trump wins, he will go forward with it with his son. I'm not sure he would go forward with the other one because
That's why I'm asking. Yeah.
community is going to come involved at that
I
point.
think either way, Hunter's getting pardoned. Probably January 20th at about
19.
19th at about 11:59 a.m. right before whomever takes the oath. Because Biden won't care. He's done. You know,
Right.
he's already in the grave as far as we know. It's weekend at Joey's, which interesting. I firmly believe he's going to pardon Hunter. Firmly believe it.
And I'm telling you, it would be a very interesting move. You got to also remember, it's going to piss off the Democrats who he's already pissed at because
Yeah, he's
they
not happy with that.
abandoned him.
Let me
And
throw.
this is the way,
All right, let me throw another bone at you. Let's see if you get where you think on this one. Let's say Biden isn't going to do that. Harris wins the presidency. All hell's going to break loose. We know that. Does she pardon Trump for the good of the country?
no.
Interesting. I think that has a more plausible thing than the other one. Do I think it'll happen? No, but I think it's more plausible than Biden doing it. Because Harris could then really, all right, well, I won the election. You know what? We need to move forward. We're going to let bygones be bygones. The Democrats at that point, Trump's never going to be president, so they're not going to be as upset. I could see her doing that. Not her doing it. She'll be told what to do. She is not leadership material. But I could see that. I mean, I'm talking a 1% chance maybe, but it's possible.
I don't think she's that bright.
No,
And I think the
but
Democrats,
it's not. Bill,
the Democrats are so vindictive. If Trump causes them to have nightmares, the only
here's the-
reason you're going to pardon Trump is because you got to be pissed off at the Democrats and you have a reason to try to blunt what you're going to do to your family.
see, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. If Harris beats Trump, the right's going to go nuts. We know that, right? If there's any nefarious stuff with the election, it's going to be 100 times worse. If they then go so far as to try and jail Trump, we are at full-blown civil war then and there. And I could see where the Democrats would go, all right, Trump's done. He's never coming back. We beat him. Let's just get rid of him because he's being
That
more
would
of a
would be those Democrats that used to be in the party. What's left have a fear
that's
for
a fair
their
point.
they've got a Trump mania, for want of a better term.
Well, it's Trump derangement
Just
system.
just Trumpia.
TDS is an actual psychological condition now. So
And they're going to want their pound of flesh, and they're going to want to put him in jail, and they're going to want to gloat over it because look what I did. Especially the guys Bragg and Fania. Look what I did.
she's toast. We're running out of time. We can do a whole show on that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm trying to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here. I honestly don't know what will happen, nor do I care, to be honest with you, at that point.
Well, I'm only making swags. You know what it's not swag.
Yeah, I do. Silly, wild ass guess. But I just think at that point, we're going to have bigger fish to fry, mainly trying to hold.
By the way, that would be a scientific wild ass guess.
Silly, wild ass guess. There's a different bunch of them. I think at that point, come January, all hell's going to break loose. I truly believe that at this point. So stock up, people. Food, water.
Save your Dixie cups. The South will rise again.
Oh, be careful. All right, wrap it up, my friend.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a great talk and Reclaiming America. Dan and I had a chance to catch up on a lot of things. We've talked about all the possible issues.
Follow us
And
there.
follow us on all those things, Twitter and YouTube and all those little things at the top of the show up there. Follow us and give us a like and see what we're doing. And you can't wait to see what happens next week because we can't wait to see what's
Who the hell
happening.
knows what it'll be? All
We
right.
we have no idea what we're talking about till we get together because there's just so much to choose from.
Amen.
Okay.
All right.
Well, things to Greta, we wish you well and look forward to you coming back. And Dan, good talking to you again, my friend.
All right. Good chat today, Bill. More to come.
Reclaiming America. And by the way, one for Bill.
Oh, brother.